Good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having or had a good weekend, is having a good Monday. So welcome to the Monday call. Any questions, concerns, always make sure you type them in. We'll be happy to talk about them. So just have a ton of people been checking out of the big three and have been doing a fabulous job, and we've got a lot of people having a really successful 2015. So congratulations to all you guys. So first thing I want to talk about is this. This is my calendar. And the reason I bring that up is guys, you have access to me. You have access to a guy who's made $1 million in the field. You have access to a guy who's helped a gazillion other people double, triple, quintuple their income. 13 guys have made less than $200,000. Within 18 months of me, I had them making over $1 million a year. So that was a five-fold increase to guys who are already fairly successful. The reason I bring that up is, and I want you guys to all answer this, I base the way I conduct my business on mutual respect. I respect you, but I expect you to respect me. And I apologize right from to preaching to the choir, but I've had way too many people in the last month do this to me. Guys, in 15 years, I've missed one meeting with guys. I've missed one meeting and probably had to reschedule less than 10. And Missy can validate this. So that's 15 years, me. With thousands of meetings, I've missed one. So if I respect, I want some answers to this. If I respect your time, is that an indication that I respect your time? So please. Okay. So if I respect your time, guess what I expect you to do? So when you miss a meeting, I mean, whose time? I'll be straight with you. I'll be a total jerk about this. Is my time at least as valuable? If we want to put a dollar amount per minute on what you earn and what I earn, is my time at least as valuable as your time? So when you miss a meeting, what can I look at this calendar? When you miss a meeting, what can I do with that half hour? What can I do with that hour? When you miss a meeting, what can I do with that half hour or hour? Nothing. So I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And here's the other thing. You're not only disrespecting me, there are people that can't meet with me till next week because the calendar is too full. And so you wasted their time too, because they could have got to see me earlier. Now, what if you cancel the day before? Does that help me? What if you cancel the day before? Help me out, Victoria. Victoria says, I hate hearing this, so why Victoria? Oh, so you're on my side. Thanks. So I can't, and just the day before, can I call up and say, hey, and Tricia and I should get on the phone and be calling all sorts of people, see if they can juggle their calendar to get in and take that? No, guys. So what's a good reason to cancel a meeting with me? You've got it in your calendar, right? You got it in your calendar, so what's a good reason to miss a meeting with me? Thanks, Victoria. Yeah, if you're dead or an immediate family member is dead, that's fine. Then reschedule. If you are in the hospital or a child is or a spouse has had an accident or has been taken to the hospital, yes, reschedule. Otherwise, please do not do that. It's a waste of my time. What if a really profitable client calls you and the only time they can meet with you is that time that you're meeting with me? What should you tell that client? Well, Bert, is that because here's the thing. So what if I said, I got guys writing $15 million plus with me. So what if I started to do with your meeting? And I'm sorry for doing that. If I'm preaching to the choir, please, those of you that never missed a meeting, thank you. But too many guys are doing this now. I just want to be clear. So if I'm have a $15 million guy calls me up and says, Mike, I have to meet with you today at 10 o'clock, and I've already got somebody scheduled, should I just call up that person I already scheduled and say, hey, sorry, one of my better guys is got to meet with me at 10 o'clock. Sorry, so we're going to have to reschedule. I don't really have any openings, so we have to reschedule for next week. What would you feel if I did that to you guys? What would you feel if I did that to you? And Missy, can you get on the line? You've worked with me for 17 years.
Yep, I'm
on. Have I ever done that to anybody?
No.
Do I treat them all equal? I treat people that respect me with what?
With equal respect, if not more.
So do I cancel people because I have a bigger person calling up needing help?
Not at all. Everyone is treated exactly the same.
Now, we get that person that needs help, but it's not going to be by inconveniencing somebody else, right?
That is correct, yep.
Okay, thanks, Missy.
Yep.
So, guys, here's how I'm going to treat you going forward. I'm not going to yell. If you miss a reschedule, I am not going to yell at you. I don't have the energy for that, nor you're all adults. You don't need me yelling at you. So essentially, you tell me how I should treat you, because I've got an idea of how I'm going to treat you. But if you miss an appointment or have to reschedule the day before, how should I deal with you going forward? Let's see some answers to this. I want you to tell me how I should deal with that person. And really, the people that have never missed a meeting, I'm interested in what you have to say on how I should deal with that person. Back of the line, Bert says. Put on the back of the line. Yeah, everybody's saying back of the line. So that's that. Okay, then we're all on board here. I'm not going to call you up and yell at you. I'm just going to go out to Trish and say, listen, this person missed the meeting. So you know what? Apparently he doesn't think that our meetings are very, very important. So put him to the very back of the line. Now, that means talking to me 10 days from now. That means talking to me 10 days from now. So what is that going to do to that person's business? So please, guys, I'm beating a dead horse. I don't want to beat this again, at least for another 12 months. Please make your meetings. Thank you. Okay. So power of attorney. We talked on Friday about that new script. So we're tying the power of attorney to Social Security, the IRS, health insurance, home insurance, statements. We tie it to everything so that we can gather all those things without them wondering why we're doing that. Also, it allows them to know that we're not just looking at the statements for the money. We're trying to help them with everything. So where can you use that? Well, first of all, you can use that at that first meeting, right? We showed you how you're going to use it at the very first meeting, so they're not. And the other place you can use it is at events, whether it's whether you're doing the outside the box event, or a Social Security event, or a estate planning event, or the fires, floods, and taxes. It's a way to say, here's why I need your power of attorney. Bring that with me to your meeting. It also eliminates them wondering why they need to see the statements. It also is going to eliminate them wondering why they shouldn't go forward with the meeting. And guys, you can also use this as an elevator conversation. Now, Tony contacted me last Friday and says, listen, my elevator conversation at that first meeting is working wonderfully, and I have 100% of people moving forward. So what did I tell Tony? He says, because he's just using the regular elevator conversation at the first meeting. He's got 100% of people moving forward. What did I tell him to do? Just keep doing what you're doing, because if it's working, keep using it. So kudos to you, Tony, for using our current elevator speech. So this is just one more elevator speech. And Michael, you're right. It's great to call on prospects using that, because we've gone from people who are thinking all we're about is the money, and we've changed the whole conversation into lighting their pants on fire with the fact that, holy cow, when that power of attorney is tied to everything, my life could go to heck in a handbasket very, very quickly if I don't meet with you. So that's why we have it there. So again, it's under agreement meeting, training, scripts, and audios. And then tie the importance of the power of attorney to everything. It's also under the agreement meeting. You see part where this isn't a current screenshot. It's 1A taking control, 1B saying control, and then 1C is now this POA speech or speech. So cool. Now the one thing I want to bring up about power of attorney is I think I brought this up on Friday, but I want you all to know, for those of you who missed Friday's call, shame on you, is that about a month ago I had 2 different advisors call me, and they were dealing with Wells Fargo Bank. And one of them called me and say, you know what, I talked to Wells Fargo, they have no problem honoring the power of attorney. And then about, I don't know if it was later in the day or a couple days later, whatever, I had another person call me and say, you know that thing about power of attorney? Working with Wells Fargo Bank, they are making it stink. They're doing everything possible not to honor my client's current power of attorney. So same entity, different results. So what do you think the difference was? One was a large account, one was a small account. What do you think the difference was? Who do you think which account do you think they were trying to Yeah, the big one has the problems, right, Michael? The big. I don't know if that's how they made the decision, but it's interesting how which one had the problems, isn't it? So that's off that subject. We're on to a different thing I want to talk about. Does anybody know what this is a picture of? There's a hint in the picture. What's this a picture of? Watson, the supercomputer. Exactly right. Watson, the supercomputer. Now, do you remember back when Watson took on Jeopardy's top winners? Who won? When Watson took on the top winners, Jeopardy winners, who won? Watson did, exactly. Watson won. Now, I bring that up because of this. Could I tie Watson in tic-tac-toe? Could I tie Watson in tic-tac-toe? Yeah, I could, Michael, exactly. Because the thing is, yeah, Steve, so I can tie him. Why? Because there's a limited amount of outcomes, right? If there's a limited amount of outcomes, and there's a very small limited amount of outcomes for tic-tac-toe, I could at least tie Watson. But in Jeopardy, the best people, could they beat him? Because there was more or less outcomes. More or less outcomes. A lot more. See, when you have limited outcomes, you can actually beat Watson. You can actually beat Watson. But when there's unlimited, it becomes more and more. The more outcomes you put on the plate, the more Watson's going to beat people. I came across this article. According to Sloan Kettering, only around 20% of the knowledge that human doctors use when diagnosing patients and deciding on treatments relies on trial-based evidence. Guys, that means 80% is what? That means this is scary. That means 80% is what? If only 20% is based on diagnosing and deciding on relying on trial-based evidence, that means 80% is what? Art, field, guess, exactly. And here's why. Because doctors have to see patient after patient after patient, Dave, right? Do they have time? Do they give them hours a day to keep up on their profession? No. And it would take at least 160 hours of reading a week just to keep up with the new medical knowledge as it's published, let alone consider its relevance or apply it practically. So that would be just reading it, not considering it or applying it practically. So Watson's ability to absorb this information faster than any human could, in theory, fix a flaw, or should, I'm sorry, in theory, fix a flaw in the current healthcare model. And in fact, they estimate that Watson's successful diagnosis rate for lung cancer is 90% versus 50% for human doctors. Radiology, guess what? Radiology, they're already finding. If your child wants to go into medicine, don't let them go into radiology, because guess what they found out about computers' ability to read X-rays and MRIs as compared to radiologists' ability. And radiologists are some of the highest paid doctors out there. Guess what they found out about computers' ability to read X-rays and MRIs compared to radiologists? Far greater, Steve. Far better. Far less mistakes. Far less mistakes. So at this point, they're still trying to. People are freaked out about robots doing things. But the fact is if I'm having my X-ray or MRI read, I'd much rather have a computer do it than a doctor, because they just can't do what a computer does. It's a repetitive type thing. It's recognizing a huge amount of data. Now, it's okay to, after the computer reads it, to have a doctor look at it, but I'd rather have the computer look at it and then a doctor double check it than have a doctor do it by themselves. And if I had to choose between a doctor and a computer, I'm going to choose computer all day long. Why? Because computers are designed to do those kind of rote things, right? Look at huge amounts of data, analyze it based on huge amounts of past things. That's what computers are awesome at, right? Now, any guess on why I'm bringing all this stuff up? Well, what happens with unlimited outcomes? Now, do we deal? Robo Advisors, right, Chris? So do we deal? If you're in the stock market or deal with the stock market, does that have limited outcomes or unlimited outcomes? Does the stock market have limited or unlimited? By far, exactly. So this is a headline out of the Telegraph, the UK's biggest, the United Kingdom's biggest paper. Quants, the math geniuses running Wall Street. Forget Gordon Gekko. Old-style city traders are being replaced by math geniuses who use supercomputers to beat the markets. At 7 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, Tuesday, April 23rd, a tweet from the AP news agency in Washington is published. It read, breaking, 2 explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured. This was not true. The AP account had been hacked by a shady group of technology nerds calling themselves the Syrian Electronic Army. But within milliseconds, the tweet had been noticed and flagged by trading computers on Wall Street. So you all remember, do you remember the flash crash? That's what caused the flash crash. Programmed to scan the internet for words or phrases that might affect stock markets, the unthinking machines had immediately seized upon the tweet, noted the proximity of the words Obama, explosions in the White House, and unleashed a torrent of trades. Within seconds, the Dow Jones had plunged 140 points, more than 200 billion of the world's capital had been wiped out in seconds. Now that's the bad side of what dealing with so many computers now being involved in the marketplace. That's the bad side. But there's another bad side, because that's when it makes a mistake. But if you thought humans were woefully, this is the same article, woefully out of date, over the past decade or so, there's been a technological coup d'etat on the trading floor. Old master of the universe, Gordon Gekko types with slick-back hair and $5,000 suits have been superseded by unbelievably powerful computers capable of analyzing vast amounts of data and buying and selling shares in the blink of an eye. Guys, you do realize that these entities have moved their computers. They've moved their computers physically, geographically closer to Wall Street so they can have a few milliseconds advantage over other traders. Today, if you visit a trading floor, instead of pumped up men in loose ties screaming down the phone, you're more likely to see rows of studious-looking people, most of them still men, sitting in front of the computer screens, quietly monitoring the trades being carried out on the behalf of machines. Around 70% of the orders to buy and sell on Wall Street are now placed by software programs, and the studious-looking people, mathematical geniuses, are responsible for writing these programs. They're the new smartest guys in the room. Now, here's the thing. Yes, that those computers made a mistake that time right there, but these computers, and do you think, again, 70% of trades on Wall Street are placed by software programs. And what did Watson do to the best Jeopardy players in history? Crushed them, because they can crunch huge amounts of data and apply huge amounts of algorithms and apply huge amounts of past data to what can happen in the future and put out all sorts of models. Can the human brain do that? Can the human brain do that? Or is it like the doctors where 20% of our trades are based on what? Actual data. And then the other 80% is what? Based on art or guessing. You know what? That's why it's so difficult to beat the market. So what's the Watsky moral of the story? The New York Times, this is just a recent article, New York Times, an analysis of 2,862 actively managed mutual funds from March 2009 to March 2015 shows that not one was able to consistently stay in the top 25% of performers over the last 6 years. So out of 2,862, not one stayed in the top 25% of all performers. How can it? Because here's the thing, the smartest people, I mean, Wall Street is hiring the smartest, they're hiring physicists, they're hiring mathematicians, they're hiring computer geniuses, and they've got millions and millions and millions of dollars to put into this research. So can one entity, if they're all using the same research, they're all using the same data, they're all using the same geniuses, can one person really lock down what it takes to beat the market? And if that person, guys, with the amount of computer power, if somebody figures out how to beat the market, how long will that last? How long will that last? With the amount of computer power out there right now, if one entity figures out how, I mean, when we say not long, what do we mean by not long? Yeah, exactly. Seconds. Seconds. So my point here is not that we can't be in the market. I love the market. I got to have my money in the market. Even my clients that were 80 years old, I had some of their money in the market. We need to be in the market to beat inflation. But the thing I want you to understand is don't overpromise and underdeliver. And I've been telling people this for the last year, but we still have a lot of guys who are using money managers who are saying what? They're saying they're going to beat the market, or they're saying that they won't beat the market, but they're going to protect on the downside. Guys, if you're in the market, how many outcomes are there? If you're in the market, how many outcomes are there? How many outcomes are there? Unlimited. So if there's unlimited outcomes, should we be promising anything when it comes to the market? Or should we simply tell our clients, listen, half our money's in the market. and we've got a good manager here, and when the market goes up, we're going to go up, and when the market goes down, we're going to go down. This is our growth portfolio. Don't promise them it's going to go down less. Don't promise them it's going to go up more. Just simply tell them, listen, when the market goes up, we're going to go up. And when the market goes down, we're going to go down. Do that, and can you look them in the face and be 100% honest when you say that? Are you predicting anything? If you have a manager that's in the market, can you say, listen, when the market goes up, we're going to go up. When the market goes down, we're going to go down. Can you look them in the face and that's 100% truthful? Yes. But when you start saying we're going to beat the market, is that 100% truthful? No. When you start saying we're going to go up, maybe go up less than the market, but we're also going to be down less than the market, you can't promise that either. So simply tell them, listen, when the market goes up, we're going to go up, and when the market goes down, we're going to go down. And that's why we have a half of our money in guaranteed over here with the FIA. And then you what? Then you're delivering on your promise, but you cannot promise on things that have unlimited outcomes. It is impossible. And I don't care when you make that promise if you say, now, if you just tag at the end. Now, of course, things can happen. No, what do they hear? When you start telling them your manager can beat the market, or you start telling your manager won't beat the market, but it will also protect them on the downside, what do they hear? Do they hear that that's basically what's going to happen, that's generally what's going to happen, or do they hear that as a promise? They hear it as a promise. Don't overpromise and underdeliver, guys. So with your equities, just simply tell them, hey, when the market goes up, we're going to go up. When the market goes down, we're going to go down. And when it goes down, we have this guaranteed over here. And over time, we're going to be beating inflation and keeping you having that great lifestyle. So now I want to talk to you a little bit on people who are registered reps. So this is a registered rep warning or update or cautionary tale, and this will also make people who are RIAs and insurance professionals happy. This is an article that I took out of Investment Advisor magazine, and it was written by, it's called the 3 Hidden Broker-Dealer Profit Centers Exposed. 3 Hidden Broker-Dealer Profit Centers Exposed. As our industry pushes for greater transparency, one area that remains largely opaque is BD profit centers. And that's because, guys, who protects us as advisors? One of the things I talk about is that, when you look at all the promises that are being made by FMOs and BDs and everybody else, can BDs and FMOs lie to your face in their advertisements? Can they lie to your face in their advertisements? And has that happened to you many times? They promise you something, and then you move your contracts or you move BDs, or whatever, and then when you get over there, they lie to your face. Does the FTC, does the Federal Trade Commission protect you guys with truth in advertising? Does anybody come to your rescue? No. So they can say whatever they want. Nobody's going to protect you, so you have to protect yourselves. So this article was written by Jonathan Henshin, CFS, president of Henshin & Associates, and he's a recruiting firm that contracts with more than 70 independent broker-dealers, so he's a headhunter for 70 independent broker-dealers. So he wrote this article. So does he know what's going on in the BD industry, guys? So his point was this. There is nothing wrong with the BD being profitable. We need them to be profitable, or they're going to go out of business. So there's nothing wrong with the BD being profitable. So here's how, they have certain profit centers which are visible, so we can see them, and we know what we're getting into if you do a little bit of research. So if you do, now some guys don't do the research, but if you do the research, you're going to know what's going on. So everybody does research on payout grids, and that's how much, they're going to take off the top of what you make. So they have a payout grid, right? It might be 70, 80, 90, 95%. So everybody does research on that, so that's something that you know up front. Now the second visible profit center is revenue sharing between BDs and vendors. Now some registered reps don't even go and research this, but they should know this. Mutual funds and VAs, 2 bips to 10 bips. So that's why when you work with certain BDs, they push what? Do certain BDs that you know that will remain unnamed push one type of mutual fund or push one type of VA? Do you know some BDs that do that? I mean, I got 3 of them that come to mind, and every time you get in front of a client that is with that BD, that I was working with a broker from that BD or a registered rep from that BD, are they all in the same exact family of mutual funds? So where do you think that is? 2 basis points or 10 basis points with that relationship between that BD and the mutual funds and VAs? 10 at least, right? Then REITs and alternatives, REITs, guys, in the last 5 years, what has happened to REITs and alternatives? And those of guys that are registered reps, who's showing up? Who's showing up at all your conferences? Who's sponsoring all your conferences? Why? What kind of vendors, though? Alts, yep, alternatives and REITs, they're showing. Why? And why are the BDs letting them do that? How much more do they make when you sell a REIT? How much more on the backside do BDs make if you sell a REIT or alternative as compared to selling a mutual fund or a VA? Guys, what's the difference between 2 beeps and 100 beeps or 10 beeps and 150 beeps? That's humongous. Well, Michael is saying they get 200 to 300 beeps. At 100 to 150 is weak. So that's why you see everybody out there. And guys, that's why I've seen registered reps selling these things is what? Unfortunately, many registered reps, what do they sell? If the XYZ VA wholesaler's been in their office, what do they sell for the next 2 weeks until the next wholesaler comes in? So you're going to sell whatever's the next newest shiny object, right, Steve? The newest shiny object. So again, this you can actually find this information out. Most times you might have to do some digging, but a lot of registered reps don't even research this. But it's still visible. You can find it out if you need to. Let's see, I got 17 out of 20 sponsors were alt REITs at my 2007 conference. Holy cow. And you get why, right? And let's see another one. Michael says, to the man who only has a hammer, all the world is a nail. Exactly right. Michael can say it more perfectly. So, and then number 3, visible profit centers mark up charges on clearing firm costs. The spread between what the clearinghouse charges and what the BD passes on to the rep. Again, with a little research, you can figure that out. Now, some of the examples of this is they'll charge you $1. They're charging the clearinghouse charging the BD $1 for postage, but the BD charges you $4 to $7. Or the ticket charge they're charging the BD $9, but the BD charges you $12 to $19. So there's just some ideas that you can figure out. Now, the big thing that this John Henson was talking about, though, is the hidden fees that you couldn't find out no matter how much research you do. Number 1 is third-party money manager markups. So reps are unaware that they are paying 10 to 15 basis points higher than what the fund is actually charging the client. So here's the thing then, guys, are they double dipping on this? Because when you do third-party money manager, doesn't that go into the grid, your payout grid? And yet when it goes to the payout grid, then they're taking another. And if you're charging 1%, what are they taking? If you're charging 1%, what percent are they taking from you without you even knowing it? If they're charging 1%, what are they taking from you without you even knowing it? Yeah, that's crazy. And now, well, we'll get to the point here in a second. The second one is in 2013, a representative called me irate that his BD was charged BD after calling Fidelity to inquire about management fees. So they called this John Henson because he's a headhunter, so he set him up with this BD. So they're calling up to complain. Why the heck did you set me with this BD who's lying to me? To his surprise, the BD was marking up the management fee by 10%. That's an extra 10 or 15% that's hidden fees. They're taking 10% to 15% of your override without you even knowing about it. Guys, is that ethical or not ethical? 10 to 15%? That's crazy. In another case in 2013, I did a due diligence trip to a large publicly traded BD. The head of the advisory services said, we mark up 10 to 25 basis points. If the representative is a large producer, we may only mark up the managers by 10 beeps, and if it's a small producer, we mark it up by 25 beeps. And guess what? Are more of their advisors large or small? So what are they doing to most of their advisors? Now you went from 10 to 15% to what? 25% hidden. See, they're not telling the BD, they're not telling their advisors about this. The reason he says, the reason I know these are kept in the dark was due to a conversation with the money manager. He shared that the BDs contact him with instructions that if a rep calls about fees, don't answer the question about fees, refer them back to the BD. They don't want the registered reps to know that there's a markup in the, guys, 10, 15, or 25% hidden fees that they're not telling you about? Whoa, that is a problem. That is a problem. So which do you think The markups, who marks up more, big BDs or small BDs? Let's see that. I want a bunch of answers in this one. Who do you think marks up more, the big ones or the small ones? Let's see, somebody got it right. Steve got it. Tom got it. Yep. So about half and half. Big BDs, they mark up the most because they have the biggest clout, right, with the money managers. Number 2, hidden fees, variable life insurance, VULs. BDs negotiate backdoor allowances with product vendors, but they pocket the added premium only pay the base target premium to the rep. And number 3, FIAs. BDs charge FMOs 25 to 50 basis points, and do they pass that along to the reps, guys? No. Also, we found out when the BDs do this, they get bonuses based on this too, and they don't allow. So a lot of BDs will do this, and then they don't allow their reps to take advantage of the bonuses that these companies will pay for higher pay for more premium written. And then often BDs will often run it through their pay grid, so they're getting 25 to 50 basis points off the top, and then they will put it through the pay grid as well. Is that double dipping? So too often these BDs are what? Double dipping. And the whole point that Jonathan Henshin was making, because I didn't do any of this. This is right from Jonathan Henshin's article. He's saying, listen, and it's just like we say, if a BD has a strong proposition, reps don't mind sacrificing a portion of their commissions or paying markups to third-party managers. Guys, do we mind paying people if they're giving us something? Do I pay more for a Lexus than I pay for a Toyota? Do I pay more for a steak dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse than a steak dinner at Perkins or the local diner? I do. Why? Why do I pay more? It's for value recognized, right, Bert? But here's the thing. Does Cadillac or Lexus try to hide the fact that they charge more? Do they try to hide that fact? Or do they point out, listen, you pay more because you what? Get the best. They don't try to hide those fees. They're proud of them, right? What do we think when people try to hide fees? When people try to hide fees, why do they hide fees? See, if we are selling a quality product, should we be afraid of hiding fees? Do we hide the fees when we sell our FIAs? Do we hide the fees, or are we right out in the open with how much people have to pay? When you look at my FIA presentations, we're right up front. I mean, it's part of the presentation. I talk about the fees that they're paying. It's part of the presentation. We're not going to hide them because you know what? We say, listen, you get good value. Or in fact, we don't say that. We have them tell us that the value they get for the fees is how valuable. Not a little valuable, a lot valuable. So here's the problem I have. Not that BDs are charging fees. We all want them to be profitable. But you know what? When they do it under the table without the advisor knowing, so they're taking advantage 10, 20, 25% of the advisor's income, and they hide that. What's that say about the BD's faith and their ability to provide value proposition to the registered reps? If they really thought they were that valuable to the rep, what would they do? They'd go ahead and tell them. Eric says they hide fees because if people knew what they were paying for what they were getting, they wouldn't be happy paying it. They wouldn't agree to pay it. It's only fair that reps should be able to evaluate these costs in order to make informed, educated evaluation of what is best for them and their clients. So I have no problem with the BDs charging their registered reps money as long as they tell them what they're getting for it. But they're not telling the registered reps what they're being charged. That's 10, 15, 25%. They're charging the registered reps 10, 15, 25% more, which than they're talking, and that cost is being then transferred to who, guys? Who's that cost being transferred to? Who in the end is paying for that? The client. Exactly right, Michael, the client. So basically, this information can be used twofold. One is it can be used certainly to help educate your prospects about what's going on with their current. Now, again, I don't want them educated. They have to tell you these things, but it's things that you know in the back of your head. You can work into the conversation to have your clients tell you what's going on here. But if you're a registered rep, guys, please hold your BD feet to the fire for letting you know how these, how they're charging you. And again, it's not the small BDs. The small Ds, most times, and throughout this article, he's saying most small BDs are what? Because they're run by the president of the BD knows every single one of the advisors. How many of the small BDs are doing this to their registered reps? So who is more of the wizard behind the curtain here? The big Ds, the BDs, or the small BDs? No, the small BDs are dealing more often, much more often, with their registered reps on a very honest, open basis. But it's the large BDs that are hiding these things. It's the large BDs that are hiding these things. It's the small ones are being, there's a little here, a little there they're doing, but not nearly to the degree that the large BDs are doing. Does that make sense to everybody? So you can use this when you run into a client that's working with or a prospect that's working with a large BD, but you can also, it's an eye opener. I thought, I didn't know they were doing all this. I suspected it, but to have this guy who knows the BD industry backwards and forwards actually talking about it, I just thought that was an eye-opening experience. So I thought I would pass it on to you. So that's all I got for today. Any questions, concerns? Super. And then how many of you are going to miss any future meetings with me except for death or dismemberment? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you on Friday. What was the magazine again? It was Investment Advisor, March. Well, I can't. Missy will put it up. It's the Investment Advisor, March 2015, called 3 Hidden Broker-Dealer. I'll get it up here since we've got time. There it is. 3 Hidden Broker-Dealer Profit Centers, March 2015, Investment Advisor magazine. Thanks, everybody. You too, Victoria. You too, Eric. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks, guys.